They say boundaries protect peace, but I never expected that protecting my home would start a war. When I told my mother-in-law she couldn't move in, I thought the conversation was over. But then came the silence. And the box. What was inside shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage, my family, and the woman I had once called Mom. And from that moment, there was no going back. This is not just a story of betrayal, it's a tale of unexpected revenge, secrets buried deep, and the high price of saying no. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more dramatic true life-inspired stories like this one. Hit the like button if you've ever had to set boundaries and been punished for it. Now, let's dive in. Part 1. The answer was no. When Daniel first brought up the idea, I thought he was joking. Just for a few months, he said. Until she gets back on her feet. His mother, Esther, had lost her condo in a flood. She was staying with friends, but not comfortably. Still, we had just bought our home 2 years ago. It wasn't huge, and I liked having our space. I liked having peace. And Esther? Well, Esther didn't exactly bring peace with her. Daniel, I began carefully, I know she's your mother, but I don't think I can live with her. She criticizes everything I do. She goes through our drawers, she gossips with the neighbors. He interrupted. She's family, Ava. She needs us. No, I said, this time firmly. I'm sorry. The answer is no. I wasn't proud of it, but I didn't regret it either. We offered to help financially, to find her a rental, even let her stay a weekend or two. But she wanted to move in permanently, and I wasn't going to live like that. Daniel didn't argue much after that, but the atmosphere in our house changed. He was colder. Distracted. I caught him texting her more often, sometimes smiling at messages I couldn't see. At night, he turned his back to me without a word. Still, I told myself we'd get through it. Until the box arrived. It was a Tuesday. I came home from work and found it sitting neatly on the front porch. No name, no return address. Just a plain brown cardboard box taped shut. At first, I thought it was a package I forgot I ordered. But as soon as I picked it up, I felt something strange. It was heavier than it looked, and there was a sound inside. A small, soft shifting. Like fabric. Curious, I brought it in and set it on the kitchen table. I hesitated for a moment, then cut the tape with a knife. I opened the flaps. Inside, wrapped in floral tissue paper, were photographs. Dozens of them. Some new, some old. But every one of them featured Daniel, with another woman. Some were innocent enough. 2 people smiling at dinner, hugging at a party. But others were more intimate. A hand on a knee. A kiss caught in the background of a mirror. A hotel receipt tucked between the prints. And then, at the very bottom, was a note. You should have let me move in. Now you'll understand why. Esther. I stood frozen. Was this real? Who was this woman? When were these taken? I rushed to the bathroom and splashed water on my face, trying to breathe. Was Esther framing him? Was Daniel actually cheating? The rage, the humiliation, and the confusion hit me all at once. And through it all, one thought kept replaying in my head. This wasn't just revenge. This was a message. A declaration of war. But what she didn't know was that I had a few secrets of my own. And if she wanted to play dirty, I could too. Are you hooked? Don't miss what happens next as Ava uncovers layers of betrayal and crafts a revenge plan that will leave you speechless. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss part 2 of this story. Part 2. The Other Woman. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by the mess that box had made of my life. The photos were scattered across the table like landmines, each one threatening to blow up what I thought I knew about my husband. Who was this woman in the pictures with Daniel? How long had it been going on? And why on earth did Esther have these? That night, I didn't say a word. I watched Daniel walk through the door like any other evening. He kissed my cheek, set down his bag, and started talking about his day. I watched him closely, wondering how someone could lie so easily. Over dinner, I kept my voice calm. "Hey," I said. "Do you remember a woman named Louisa?" He froze for just a second. Just long enough to confirm everything. "Yeah," he said casually. "Used to work with her." "Why?" "Just heard the name earlier. It sounded familiar." That name was scrawled on the back of one of the more intimate photos, with a heart drawn next to it. There was no denying it. The next morning, I drove to Daniel's office. I told the receptionist I was a family friend and wanted to drop something off for Louisa. "Oh," she said, typing into the system. "Louisa doesn't work here anymore. She left 2 months ago." 2 months ago. The exact time Esther had started pressuring us to let her move in. That couldn't be a coincidence. I drove home, my hands shaking with adrenaline. Esther had planned this. She knew about the affair, or maybe she even paid for the photos. Either way, she was weaponizing it against me. She wanted to break me down until I'd beg her to move in, just to keep the family together. I picked up my phone and called her. "Esther," I said. "We need to talk." Silence. "Well, look who finally decided to call," she said coldly. "I just want to understand. Why would you do this?" "You know why, Ava. You left me with no choice. You should have let me move in." And she hung up. What she didn't know was that I had recorded that call. And I had just gotten started. Part 3. The beginning of my revenge. For the next few days, I played the role of the perfect wife. Smiling, cooking, listening, pretending I didn't know about the betrayal sleeping next to me. But behind that mask, I was planning. I went through Daniel's laptop, his emails, his cloud backups. I found deleted messages, calendar invites, photos he thought were gone. Louisa was more than a fling. They had history. And when she tried to tell me the truth, Esther had paid her off to disappear. Esther had orchestrated this. Collected evidence. Hid it until she could use it as a weapon. She didn't just want to live in my home, she wanted to control it. That's when I decided, if she wanted war, she'd get it. I started with small leaks, rumors, anonymous emails to Esther's church friends, posts in neighborhood groups, whispered gossip about how she paid off a mistress to protect her son's image. Nothing directly from me, just enough to taint her halo. Then I turned to Daniel. I printed the photos, the note, and a transcript of the call. I left them on the bed with a sticky note. "Let's talk." That evening, he walked into the bedroom and froze. "What is this?" he asked, holding up a photo. "You tell me." His face drained of color. He dropped onto the bed, shoulders slumped. "I swear, this was before we got married." "Don't lie." He looked up, confused. "How did you even find this?" "Your mother sent it to me," I said. "She's trying to ruin us." Daniel was quiet for a long time. Then he said something I never expected. "I didn't know she had these. I thought it was all gone." "So did I said. "But now that I know, let me be clear, if you let her come near this house again, I'll destroy both of you." And for the first time since I met him, I saw fear in his eyes. Part 4. Pandora's Box. For a while, things went quiet. Esther didn't call. She didn't text. She vanished. I knew better than to believe it was over. She wasn't the type to give up, she was the type to reload. Then one Friday afternoon, I heard a thud on my front porch. I rushed outside. Another box. Smaller this time. Wrapped neatly. No return label. I brought it inside, my hands trembling, and opened it. A flash drive. I plugged it into my laptop. Only one file. A video. It was Daniel, at his office, talking to a man I didn't recognize. "She can't find out," Daniel said in the video. "If Ava learns what we did, I'm screwed." "You should have handled it by now," the man replied. "Control your wife." I paused the video, breathless. What the hell were they hiding? I rewound and played it again. If Ava learns what we did. Not what I did. What we did. This wasn't just about Louisa. This was something bigger. Deeper. And Esther was still holding the strings. But she made a mistake. She assumed this would scare me into submission. What she didn't realize was that once a woman loses her trust, what's left is not fear, it's vengeance. Part 5, A Crack in the Foundation. I watched the video 5 more times, looking for any clues. Names, places, anything. The man speaking to Daniel had a deep voice and a gold watch. That was all I had to go on. But it was enough to light a fire under me. Daniel had been hiding more than an affair. And Esther, she was holding this information like a loaded gun. She was daring me to pull the trigger. I didn't tell Daniel I had the video. Instead, I pretended everything was normal. I packed his lunch. I kissed him goodbye. But as soon as the door closed, I got to work. I hired a private investigator. Her name was Lacey, and she had the kind of no-nonsense energy I desperately needed. I showed her the flash drive and explained everything. She took notes like a surgeon preparing for an operation. This isn't just cheating, she said. This is leverage. Someone's got something on your husband. What kind of leverage? Could be financial. Could be legal. Could be both. Either way, that woman, your mother-in-law, isn't acting alone. It was exactly what I suspected and feared. By the next day, Lacey had some answers. The man in the video? His name was Gerard Whitman. He owned a consulting firm. A very discreet consulting firm, often used by wealthy clients to solve personal problems. One of his specialties? Covering up white-collar crime. My stomach dropped. What had Daniel done? That evening, when he came home, I asked him a simple question. Did you ever take money from your last company? His fork paused halfway to his mouth. His eyes darted to mine. Excuse me. You heard me. Did you embezzle? He laughed nervously. Where is this coming from? Just answer. He sighed and set down his fork. It wasn't like that. They were going under. I just moved some numbers around. Everyone was doing it. I stared at him. The man I had trusted. The man who had said he was the victim. And your mom knows? She helped. She knew some people. She got Gerard involved. Of course she did. She didn't just want to live in my house. She wanted to own everyone in it. Part 6. The Trap. Now I had everything I needed. Esther thought she was smart, sending boxes, hiding behind secrets. But I was about to turn her game on its head. The next morning, I called her. I've changed my mind, I said. A pause. About what? You moving in. I think it's time we make peace. She didn't respond immediately. She didn't need to. I could feel the smirk on the other end. Well, she said, I'm glad you came to your senses. I pretended to smile. Come by tomorrow. I'll have your room ready. Daniel was shocked when I told him. Are you sure? Maybe this is what she needs. Maybe if she feels included, things will calm down. He kissed my forehead. You're amazing, he said. Thank you. What neither of them knew was that I had installed cameras in the guest room, the hallway, and the kitchen. Audio included. If Esther so much as hinted at her blackmail, I'd have it on tape. I wasn't going to play defense anymore. I was going to gather proof. The next afternoon, she arrived with 3 suitcases and a smug smile. Welcome, I said. Make yourself at home. She looked around as if inspecting her new kingdom. Finally, she muttered. A proper place. I bit my tongue. Over the next few days, she was the picture of politeness. Sweet voice, folded laundry, even made Daniel's favorite soup. But I saw it in her eyes. She thought she had won. That was until I checked the footage. Late one night, she was in the kitchen on the phone. "She doesn't suspect a thing," she whispered. "Once the file is uploaded, she'll be ruined. Then I'll have the house and the upper hand." She paused. "Yes. I told Daniel to play dumb. He's still scared. I'll tell the police everything." "Gotcha." I clipped the footage and made 3 copies. And just like that, the hunter became the prey. Part 7. The Confrontation. I waited until Sunday morning. Daniel was in the living room. Esther was reading the newspaper. I stood in the middle of the room with a USB drive in hand. "I have something to show you both." Esther looked up slowly. Daniel turned pale. I plugged it into the TV. Pressed play. The video played. Her whispering. The threats. The confession. Esther jumped from the couch. "What is this?" I crossed my arms. "Calm. Ready. It's you. Plotting. Lying. Blackmailing." I recorded everything. Daniel stood frozen. "Mom, is that real?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. "Why would you do this?" I asked. "Because I said no to you? Because I protected my home." She tried to speak again, but no words came out. Daniel turned to her. "You've been using me? All this time?" Esther backed toward the door. "I did it for you." "No," I said. "You did it for yourself." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Daniel turned to me, guilt all over his face. "I didn't know. But you let her manipulate you. And now, you have a choice." He nodded slowly. "I want to make it right." I looked him in the eyes. "Then start by packing her things. She's not coming back." Part 8. Silence after the storm. For the first time in weeks, the house was quiet. Esther's perfume no longer lingered in the hallway. Her slippers were gone from beside the couch. The guest room was finally empty again. But even with her out of the house, the damage she caused remained. Daniel tried to fix things. He offered to take me to dinner, to talk, to explain everything again. But I wasn't ready. I needed space, not just from Esther, but from him too. I moved into the guest room. He didn't argue. Instead, he started sleeping on the couch, leaving notes on my door. "I'm sorry. I want to rebuild. Tell me what to do." But what could he do? He had let his mother poison our marriage. He had lied. And worst of all, he had stood by while she nearly destroyed me. One evening, as I sat alone with a glass of wine, I looked over the printed photos again. The ones Esther had sent. I remembered how broken I had felt when I first saw them. But now they were just paper. Symbols of something I had already outgrown. And then my phone buzzed. It was an email from an unknown address. Subject line: "You're not done." Inside was a link. No message. No explanation. I hesitated, but I clicked. What loaded was a private file-sharing site. Inside, financial documents, emails, scanned signatures, all connected to Daniel's old company. Some were labeled fraud, others evidence. And all of it pointed back to Esther as the one who had orchestrated the embezzlement, not Daniel. She wasn't just blackmailing him. She had set him up. Part 9. The Real Mastermind. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the files. Esther's name appeared again and again. Her signature. Her bank accounts. Her communications with Gerard Whitman, the consultant Daniel had mentioned. She had used Daniel as a pawn. Gotten him involved just enough to make him complicit. Then used the threat of exposure to control him. And when he tried to move on with me, she used the affair to keep him in check. It had all been part of her plan. I immediately forwarded everything to Lacey, the private investigator. Her response came within minutes. "This is huge. With this, we can take her down legally. Want to proceed?" I didn't respond right away. Not because I wasn't sure, but because a bigger idea was forming. Destroying Esther in court? That would take months. Maybe years. And she'd spin it into victimhood, blaming me for tearing the family apart. No. I didn't want her behind bars. I wanted her humiliated. Publicly. And permanently. That night, I called an old college friend who worked in media. "I have a story for you," I said. "White-collar crime, family betrayal, digital evidence, all verifiable." I didn't mention names. Not yet. She was intrigued. "Send me a sample. If it checks out, we'll talk broadcast." I sent her a clean set of files. Within 24 hours, she replied, "This could be front page. Let's meet." I smiled for the first time in days. Esther had tried to ruin me with secrets. Now I would ruin her with the truth. Part 10, Broadcast Day. Daniel noticed the shift in my energy. "You're calmer," he said. "I have clarity now," I replied. He nodded, unsure what I meant. That morning, I dressed carefully. Neutral tones. No drama. Just professionalism. I wasn't going to fight fire with fire. I was going to expose the arsonist. I met my journalist friend in a small cafe. She introduced me to her producer. They asked questions. Verified timelines. Cross-checked sources. By the time I left, they had what they needed. A week later, the story aired. They didn't use real names. But the details. Unmistakable to anyone who knew Esther. A prominent community member had masterminded a multi-year fraud scheme, then manipulated her son and tried to destroy her daughter-in-law to cover her tracks. It was explosive. I didn't watch it live. Instead, I sat on the porch, sipping tea. My phone didn't stop buzzing. Friends. Neighbors. Even co-workers. "Is this about your family? Did you see what aired on Channel 7? I knew there was something off about her. And then, Daniel. He stood in the doorway, pale, holding his phone. "Is this true?" he asked, voice trembling. I looked at him calmly. "Yes. And now you finally know who your mother really is." He didn't speak for a long time. Then he sank onto the steps beside me. "She controlled my whole life," he whispered. "I know," I said. "But she doesn't control mine." Part 11. Fallout. After the broadcast, the silence in the house changed. It wasn't heavy anymore. It was healing. Daniel barely spoke for 2 days. He didn't go to work. He didn't touch his phone. He just sat, staring out the window. I gave him space. He needed to process what I had already accepted, that his mother, the woman who raised him, had manipulated and betrayed him in ways even he didn't fully understand. On the third morning, he knocked on the guest room door. I opened it. He stood there with tired eyes and a folder in his hand. "I found this," he said. "It's everything I have from her. Letters. Bank statements. Documents. Maybe it'll help you. Or help us, I don't know." I took it, nodded, and closed the door again. I wasn't ready to talk about us. Not yet. Later that day, the calls started coming in, from reporters, bloggers, even people pretending to be lawyers. Esther had become a trending name online after someone connected the dots. It didn't take long for people to realize who she was. She made a public statement denying everything, of course. She blamed bitter family members, and a vindictive woman, for orchestrating an attack on her reputation. But then someone leaked the footage. The one I had taken secretly in the kitchen. Her whispering about ruining me. Threatening me. And just like that, her story collapsed. Part 12. A message from the past. A week passed. The media storm died down slowly. Esther disappeared from public view. Her name no longer appeared at church events or neighborhood brunches. Even her so-called friends stopped defending her. Then something unexpected happened. I got a letter. Handwritten. Delivered by a courier. No return address. I opened it carefully. It was from Louisa. She had seen the broadcast. "I owe you the truth," the letter read. "I never wanted to hurt you. Your mother-in-law offered me money to end things with Daniel and disappear. I was young, broke, and scared. I said yes. But I regret it every day. I know he wasn't innocent either, but I believe you deserved to know." At the bottom, she left a number. For a moment, I debated calling. But instead, I folded the letter and tucked it away in a drawer. Not because I forgave her, but because I didn't need anything more from her. Not now. That evening, I joined Daniel on the porch. He didn't say anything. Just looked at me. After a while, he asked, "Do you hate me?" "No," I said honestly. "But I'm still hurt." "I want to earn your trust back," he said. "I know," I replied. We sat in silence again. This time, it felt like the beginning of something new. Part 13. The Final Box. 2 weeks after the fallout, I came home from work and found something strange on the porch. Another box. But this one was different. It was white. No tape. No note. Just a single black ribbon. I carried it inside carefully and opened it. Inside was a photo. It was me. Smiling. On our wedding day. Beneath it, a short message. "You may have won this time. But I never lose forever. E." I didn't panic. I didn't cry. I laughed. Because even now, especially now, Esther still didn't get it. This wasn't about winning. It was about freedom. I called Lacey and told her what happened. She picked up the box, dusted it for prints, and promised to keep it on file, just in case. I took the photo and lit a match. It burned slowly in the kitchen sink, curling into ash, while I watched with a calm I hadn't felt in months. Esther's last move had failed. And I knew, truly knew, that she was finally out of my life. Part 14. Rebuilding from the rubble. Spring arrived with soft breezes and blooming trees, nature's way of reminding me that even after the harshest winter, renewal is possible. Inside the house, the energy had shifted. Daniel was trying. Truly trying. He cooked dinner, cleaned without being asked, started therapy, alone and then with me. But more than that, he started being honest. About his past. About his fears. About how deeply under Esther's influence he had been all his life. I didn't even realize how much of me was just her, he confessed one night as we walked through the neighborhood. "You're not her," I said. "But you can't be half of her either." He nodded. We were in therapy twice a week. Some sessions were hard, filled with anger, grief, silence. Others brought laughter, even hope. Healing doesn't come in a straight line. It's a spiral, circling pain until it loosens its grip. One session changed everything. "I never felt like I deserved Ava," Daniel told the therapist. "When things got good, I let my mother sabotage it because I thought she was right. That I'd mess it up." I looked at him, tears in my eyes. "You didn't mess it up by being imperfect," I said. "You messed it up by standing back while she tried to destroy me." He cried that day. So did I. And that was the first time I saw the man I married fully again. Not the son, not the pawn, but him. We still had a long way to go. But at least now, we were walking it together. And that meant something. Part 15. The Final Word. Months passed. Esther never reached out again. No letters. No boxes. No sudden appearances. Whether she had finally given up or was simply licking her wounds in silence, I didn't care. She no longer mattered. Daniel and I renewed our vows privately in our backyard. No guests. No flowers. Just the two of us and the words we meant to say the first time, but hadn't fully understood back then. "This time," I told him, "I'm not promising to love through anything. I'm promising to leave if I'm ever disrespected again." He smiled. Fair. We laughed. We kissed. We kept it real. One evening, as we sat watching the sunset, he asked, Do you ever regret not letting her move in? I looked at him, thinking of the chaos, the betrayal, the pain, and the growth. No, I said. I regret trusting her. But I'll never regret protecting my peace. He nodded. I wish I had protected you too. You're doing it now, I said softly. Before going to bed that night, I posted one last thing online. A short message. No names, no drama. Just a truth that needed to be shared. Sometimes, saying no to someone's chaos is the kindest thing you can do for yourself. Don't feel guilty for closing the door. Especially when they were never planning to knock, they were planning to break it down. The post went viral. I didn't care about the likes or shares. What mattered was this. I had found my voice again. And this time, no one, not even Esther, could silence it. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more jaw-dropping, emotional, and dramatic tales like this one. Every week, we bring you unforgettable stories inspired by real emotions. See you in the next one. Se quisser, paso suggerir agora ideas de historia semelhantes ou criar uma nova historia completa. Deseja continuar?